Oh yeah, Taylor's gonna jump in at some point. Here we go. All right, we're live. Here we are live on episode 89 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. You've come to find out how to grow your junk removal dream. Junk removal, demolition, deconstruction, hell, landscaping, and storage. We got it all right on the weekly rendition of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. I'm Andy Weins. He's Casey Bubba Lawrence. Casey, what are we going to talk about today?
Man, today we had another guest unfortunately have to reschedule. So you and I are just going to be mixing it up and
jiving. Rescheduled.
But cool thing is there's actually a couple things that kind of came up today that brought great ideas to my head that I want to share with everyone.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first thing we have to, let's just get it out of the way. All right, let's just do it. All right. How about them Cowboys? Like, we'll just get this out of the way now. Right. All right, cool.
It's Eagles week. It was Eagles week. That's right. Yeah, the Packers going to take care of the lowly New York Giants tonight.
Dude, I saw the Packers put a whooping on the Lions last week.
Thanksgiving, 2 weeks ago.
That was good.
We beat the Chiefs last week. Last week we beat the Chiefs, the Super Bowl, the reigning champs. No big deal. No big deal.
After watching them last night, I ain't saying much. I mean, the refs beat them pretty good too.
Oh my God, that was what a shit way to end that game at the end. I know.
Well, he was offsides. Like I saw when it was happening, I was watching it, and I was like, "That dude's offsides."
This guy's way offsides.
And they snapped the ball, and I was like, "Huh."
Better than if you were a what do you call it, Raiders or Vikings fan.
Oh my God.
0-0 going into the final 2 minutes. Like you don't even say that. Like normally it's like going into the stretch. Like no, like 2-minute warning. There's normally some points on the board. Right, like
you'd almost want to go into an overtime situation at 0 just to make it a first of something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just to say, hey, let's just make the headlines.
It is the second lowest scoring game you can have. Right, the only other score you could get is a safety nil.
Yeah,
so they tied the lowest scoring game of all time. Because again, to have a game with only a safety, that'd be that. I mean,
dude.
Put the odds on that. So, anyways, Vegas Vikings, not great, Bob.
No.
Anyhow, now that we've talked football.
Yeah, so now that we've discussed that Dallas is awesome, and now that they're shutting everyone up, they haven't played a team. Well, they just 2 in a row. So let's go.
That's it. That's all you had to talk about. That was all your news. You had all day to think about shit to talk about. That was it.
Oh no, the second thing. So I got a call. Actually, we got an email. A message in, so then I actually talked to this guy. His name's Hunter.
Oh yeah,
he has a big ass estimate coming up, shit ton of carpet, and he's like, and it was a 6-minute conversation. Like he did not go in to like, I have all these questions, answer them for me. No, he was just very, look, man, I had this big ass job, never touched anything like it before. Just want to see your thoughts on it, and I appreciate it because I was on the phone with a buddy of mine, and I switched over. Had a 6-minute conversation with Hunter, and then I called my buddy back. There was not a lot of time kind of dealing with someone else's issues, right? And we appreciate those kind of calls. And I want everybody to know that that's how you do it. I'm not saying don't bother us as much as I'm saying make it worth it. Because yes, I can call you and say, I got 21 questions for you. Can you answer all of them? 9 times out of 10, you're going to get half-ass answers for us to get you off the phone. But you have a genuine, hey, look, this won't take any time. I just want you to touch on it to make me feel warm and fuzzy. Dude, that's awesome.
And the other thing nice about him in particular, there was nothing hypothetical about it. He has a job, an opportunity to bid it. How do we do this thing?
Yes.
And I can tell you, and I had a listener reach out to me this weekend, wanted me to help on his business. So we talked for a little bit. He's like, hey, what are your rates? And I was like, I don't even talk about rates until I got to make sure I can help you. And for this listener in particular, it was real simple. It's like, what does your profit and loss statement look like? Because there's a certain threshold. So for me, it's real simple. If you're doing under $500,000 and you're less than 2 years in business, it's not a good use of my time to scrub your P&L because we don't have enough data yet.
No.
Once you're at about $500,000, 2+ years, 3 years is ideal. And the reason I say $500,000 is because that's 2 trucks that are running for the most part throughout the year, right? I mean, there's some people, they'll hit like 400,000, but it's like, well, you did, half of your revenue in 3 months, or you had one big ass job, right? So that's where that threshold is. And then I can look for, abnormalities within the profit and loss statement. So, anyways, that's just
Yeah,
we
and
love it
that's
when listeners reach out to us. Yeah, but the best thing you can do as a listener is have
just
no shit specific questions.
and have it tangible, something we could look
Yep.
at. And even this time, I asked him, I was like, "Have you had eyes on the property yet?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Next time you go out there." So, for instance, never seeing this property, I can kind of put two and two together that a dormitory, old carpet. It's probably not plush. It's probably that nasty, flat, rough, durable carpet
Yep.
that doesn't peel up in rolls. It peels up in strips.
Yeah, it's
I
terrible.
was like, yeah. So I was like, you need if you can go back out there because he's like, it doesn't have to be started until January. I was like, perfect. I was like, dude, go out there a couple more times. Like,
Yeah.
there's no harm in that. I was like, I'd even go out there and try to get some of the corner up. See how long it takes you. If you're
Yeah.
spending 5 minutes just to get the corner up, that's probably going to be an ass whooping. And he's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And I was like, well, it's because you think carpet, oh, it's easy, it rolls right up until you get this carpet where it's all glued. And then you rip it up, it comes in strips and it's stringing everywhere. And you're like, oh, this is miserable. Um, but one other tip, I want everybody to hear this because I told this to him and I truly believe in this. I started doing this solely in demolition. Junk removal was a little different, but when I was just doing demo, I made sure every quote I gave was an all inclusive price. I stopped itemizing my quotes.
Hmm.
And the reason why is these bigger jobs, a lot of times these contractors will pick and choose. So, for instance, hey, this job, it's going to take me 7 days. Okay. The price is $20,000. Okay, cool. That's simple, straight to the point. Versus this job is going to cost me, I'm going to charge you $4,000 for disposal. I'm going to charge you $500 for tools and equipment. I'm going to charge you $15,500 for labor. That contractor's like, well, shit, I can go get cheaper labor
Yep.
and I can do it a different way and cheaper way because you're kind of showing your hand there. And for the most part, your profit is in the labor. It's not in the disposal.
Hmm.
Most of the time, at least how I look at how I usually bill things. My profit's built into my labor prices, not my disposal.
Yeah, my challenge with that is I like itemizing it. However, I do not get into the specifics. So I'll itemize it, disposal versus billable expenses or rental versus um what do you call it? Labor or hourly rate.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. Separate
difference is
the
I
equipment. Yeah.
yeah, right. The challenge is you're right, and I've had it residentially too or commercially. Like, well,
Hmm.
you were only here like 5.5 hours, you charge 6. It's like, well, we just stop at the depot and go pick up, something special for you, ram board or whatever.
Hmm.
Like we supply the tools and equipment or the consumables, and we had to go get them. That's part of. And the thing is now, like we had a demo job today where we built it for 3 hours, got it done in 4, and the guy's like, send me the bill for what it is. Because ultimately they're paying for what the
Hmm.
end result. They're not paying for how many hours and whether it was a quarter
Exactly.
trailer or half trailer of removal. They're paying for what the job was. And there is the jobs that you do better on, and you kind of keep a tab on it. Like, hey, we did better on that one than we anticipated. I guarantee you, there's gonna be one that's gonna be worse. We had a run there
Well,
like 2 weeks in a row where every job got bigger, and then we like the
mhm,
next week every job got smaller. Right. So and that was on the residential side.
yeah.
It was like, 1.5 was turned into 3. Two was
Hmm.
turned into 1, or 2 was turned into 4. And then last week was like 1 3/4 turned into a 3/4. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
we had one that was like 5 that turned into 3. I mean, just
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, that's it. For everyone that gets bigger, there's one that gets smaller. Yeah, residential wise, I always bill by capacity because we're not nickel and diming it. Um, I've had some people they're like, oh, we watch how many trucks and trailers you loaded in. It wasn't 11. It's like, well, for us, our trucks are different size and configurations. Um,
Hmm.
and you didn't see everything that went out. That's how
Yeah,
I
and
always said it.
there is such thing as too much information. I think on the business
Yeah.
standpoint, like I'm not trying to say be unethical, not at all.
No,
I'm trying to
no.
say look out for your business, make sure it's a smooth process. And what I mean by that is if there's any chance for the customer to sit there and argue with you for 30
Yeah.
minutes or an hour about $100 or more, well then try to eliminate that option. And by that I mean if you go into a job before you've been there, don't say it's this much, no problem. Just be like, look, I don't know. I haven't seen it. It could be
Yep.
this. It could be this. I believe in giving ranges. At the same time, for bigger jobs that maybe you don't know all of it until you get into it, which we've all been there. I would give them my plain pricing, right? Hey, this is my trailer pricing. This is my labor rate. By what I can see, I think it's going to be between here and here. But just in case it's not, here's my pricing that determines the end result. And I think with residential, it's a little simpler just because, I mean, unless
There's
you're
less,
like
yeah, there's less variables. I mean,
less variables, yeah. But even so, we've had a couple where it's like we had this couple, it was an older couple. They bought a house, it was a hoarder house. And it was one of the years where we had like a bang in December. It's because they're like, hey, we need this whole house cleaned out. And it was disgusting. It was so gross that it turned into a gut job because
yeah.
after everything was done, they're like, hey, we have so much mold and nastiness. We need you to take this whole house down to the studs. And we're like, sweet. Well, we were already there. They already dealt with us. They know it was going to be more expensive, but they also knew I don't want to really shop around. I'd rather use the same people that are already here. And nothing really changed because everything there kind of got tossed anyways because it was disgusting. But at the end of it, we actually gave them a break on price because of how much we actually did good. But we didn't tell them that. We didn't go into it said, hey, if we only do X, Y, and Z, we're going to give you money back. No. But at the end of it, we're like, hey, look, just to let you know, we told you it was going to be this many trailers. It ended up being this many. So we're only going to charge you this much. And they're like, oh, we really appreciate that. Thanks. They weren't keeping up with us, but that right there is doing, what's right. And it comes back because they're going to use you again. Hey,
Oh,
these
yeah.
people are honest.
Yeah, you're never wrong being that's the part. You're never wrong being honest with folks.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things where this is where it starts. We see in the Drunken World groups all the time. People are like, "Oh, what would you charge for this?" It's difficult to be honest when you don't know your pricing, and you don't know your
Yeah.
pricing because you're not systematic and thorough. And so then you are kind of guessing and haggling every single job when you either charge by time and material or you charge by cubic yardage. There's not many other variables you can charge by to keep up honesty with your customers, yourself, your business. You have a fiduciary responsibility to be honest with you and your own business. A lot of guys that are one-offs don't realize that. And now I realize it like this time of year, like we're running a promotion right now, a book between now and the first week of January. We're going to give you 10% off of your existing customer or your referral from an existing customer. So it's not that I'm not modifying my pricing.
Ooh, I like that. Referral
I have
from an existing customer.
or referral, right? So it's a promotion. A promotion is not like, oh shit, right? We know we're slow this time of year. We're slow this time of year every year. So if 10% off makes the difference, okay. But this isn't like, hey, I'm gonna charge one guy $7.49 for a full chair because he lives in a nice neighborhood. I'm gonna charge $5.49 because someone lives in the hood, right? Like there's a city here it's called the Mequon tax or the Whitefish Bay tax. Like people there, like historically, people have gouged them because they could. It's like, well, hold on. Why should they have to pay more based on where they live? And the reason is because other people didn't have flat rate pricing, simple pricing, which I still
also goes back into market testing.
Yeah, which that's still the argument whether or not we put it on our website. We talked about Annie Barton about that. We'll be having Barton on. Actually, this episode here for the people that catch it live, we'll go live. Fucking, I was yawning last week. I know what it is though. I've been driving up from Chicago at fucking 5 o'clock in the morning. That's why I'm yawning. I know. I've been I stay in Chicago on the weekends, and I used to come in at 9, but now I'm
the house in the Hamptons.
My house in shit. Yeah, Chicago suburbs will be fucking screaming by O'Hare at fucking 6 o'clock in the morning. I ain't that bougie. I ain't made it yet, Jack. You'll know I made it when I'm fucking not yawning because I woke up at noon. I'm like, oh yeah, I look like you.
I'm ready to do this.
Yeah, although I saw your pictures of your boys painting each other with makeup on their faces yesterday. So
those markers, yeah, man, they're
markers. Yeah,
dude, my whole family got hit hard. Dude, my day was Saturday. Saturday, I was down, stomach flu. But yeah, this whole week has been shitty because everyone was sick, man, everyone. And then finally they started getting better. Monica down yesterday all day. Today down all day. Yeah.
Where so is she with the boys right now though?
Yeah, her mom's at the house watching the boys. She's in the bedroom.
She's out.
And
right.
Yeah, man. But the good thing was, if I could see there's a good thing, it kind of gave her a couple of days not to like stress about work because, I know most of our listeners are junk removal. They probably don't know much about photography, but in the brand photography business, man. It's just this what's the word,
Cyclical.
cyclical as junk removal, man. I mean, it has its seasons, and right now, for instance, everything's decorated for Christmas, so it'd
Yep.
be really hard to get professional photos done in most places without Christmas decorations in the background.
Mm.
So a lot of people aren't booking. So what you have to do is you have to, this is the time she spends planning, marketing, building those relationships. So that way when springtime happens, she's like, boom, and she's back to booking up her schedule. But for her, just for everyone out there listening, she has also made the decision now to become a business owner rather than a photographer. So
Mm.
2024 is going to be her year, her first year as a photography business owner rather than being a photographer.
Is she bringing in 1099s or W-2s or what?
That's what she's going. Her first order of business is to hire a photographer, project based. Um, Kind of one of those teach and test kind of things. Like, hey, if it's a good fit, give her more food, and then you know have more of a full time person to either grow with or teach, and then so on and so forth. But the point is, this whole time, the past 2 years, she's been struggling with, you know, she's been maxed out, as in, hey, how come I can't get over this wall? I can't get over this hurdle. And I'm like, well, it's because you're in the way. You
Or
can
the
literally
bottleneck?
sit here and mathematically you can put down your limit. This is as much money as you will make this year, no matter what, if you're doing the exact same thing. And that's the cool thing about numbers is if you're not doing your numbers, then you're not going to know why you're not succeeding or why you're failing. Well, so she started looking at that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what she's like, so in order for me to get to a number that I thought I was going to get to, well, hell, I actually need a person here, or I need to sub this out.
Well, she had subbed out
Editing.
doing editing a while back, right? Well, that's
Yeah,
the thing. You got
yeah.
to figure out, right? And this is very similar to junk removal. It's like tons of our listeners like, oh, how do I get off the truck? It's like, well, you got to track your data because you got
Yeah,
to see
man.
how much money you have coming in, what can you afford. And I know a lot of I met a lot of guys, and this came up last week in a conversation with some people about not claiming cash jobs, and it's like,
Hmm.
right, and then this was in regards to if you wanted to sell. We were talking about restaurants, and a lot of restaurants are
How does it
like,
help you in the year, though? I mean, shoot.
exactly right,
Go ahead.
exactly
Sorry.
like restaurants will clear like $50,000, and it's like they want a big multiple. And they're like, oh no, we did 5 million, in top line, and 500,000 in profit. It's like, well, where is it? Like, oh well, yeah,
Who's
no, we
Kush?
don't show it. It's like, well, then you didn't do it,
Yeah.
like, and that's the thing with junk removal. It's like a lot of guys get out there and they just bang jobs, they put money in their pocket, and they never track it because it's like, oh yeah, no, we'll take this one off the board. Or they don't even have they just got a phone call. They went and banged out a job real quick and put the money in their pocket and then spent it at the bar that night or
Yeah.
dinner or put in their bank account, pay off bills. I don't fucking know, right? They never track it though, and that in lies a problem. When you don't track your data, you don't know when you're replaceable because you can't qualify how much work you can do versus the next guy, what your expectations are for them, or maybe it is best that you stay banging jobs, right? Are you better off getting a third party answering service? Like, what is it that, what is your greatest pain point? What is chewing up, so much of your time that you can't excel? Like,
There's even,
I've never been full time banging jobs. Never since we went in
no,
full
but
time. I did
you could
part time.
even argue, you could even argue that if you tracked everything and you were such an operational stud, you could argue hiring a manager to be in charge of you
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
your schedule
Yeah,
as the owner.
and then you go networking events or oversee projects or whatever. 100%.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people like, well, if I teach this guy my job, he's going to take it. Okay, this is why it's
Good.
important to do this now. Make it to where no matter who sits in your chair, you always have a level up to go.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, yes, I had this conversation the other day. I was like, oh yeah, someone asked me, hey, why'd you sell your business? And I was like, well, there's a couple reasons, but one of the reasons was no matter how successful we got, how big we got, how further away from the truck I got, I always got sucked back in at some point for something, whether it be I was on vacation and I got a phone call, hey, we had a flat tire. I'm like, I don't understand why you're calling me. I'm in Colorado. Why is this happening? Oh, well, so and so didn't answer their phone. I was like, that's kind of no matter how big you get, at least how I looked at it, um, unless you have like a general manager who's like overseeing just different regions and shit. For me, I was always getting sucked into the day to day, and I didn't want that, right? Because you saw it. Sometimes it was like we would talk, and I'm in a truck. What are you doing in a truck? Well, so and so didn't show or whatever. I
Yeah.
have 3 crews out, and I scheduled the day for 4 crews. So me and one of my guys are in the truck. So it's just one of those things. But this is why planning go. Like you were talking about planning, and if you make a plan, yes, you also have to make sure you have an alternative to that plan because it will change. But not having a plan is worse than making a plan and it not working out because you can at least position yourself to improvise from the original plan. But if you don't have a plan, you're just running scattered. You
Yeah.
don't know where your set point is. And I don't know, man. I think a lot of guys and girls or people out there in this business are learning it's not as easy as they thought. It's simple, but they're starting to see that.
Easy come, easy go.
Yeah, but they're starting to see that. They're like, hey, okay, well, I did great when I first started. Well, yeah, because when you first start, $5,000 is a lot of money.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But
Yeah.
as you build that overhead in the business, you're like, man, $5,000, that's a day. Like, I need $5,000 every 3 days. I need $5,000 every 2 days.
If I don't do $5,000 today, I'm out of business. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
actually, speaking of question, I'm gonna bring something up to the VIP group. Junk Lady LLC. I do not know this person. It's a listener. Popping this up here. So she says, ever cut into a hot tub and instead of foam, it's filled with white
I saw
cellulose.
that.
Every
I
hot
saw
tub we've
that.
cut into has had foam in it until this one. We were surprised. How do you deal with it? I'm trying to research. Are there specific
Wet
brands that
vac,
use
drop
cellulose?
vac.
Our transfer station want hot tubs cut up, not whole. Let me tell you something. I have never seen this before. That is a cheap ass hot tub because look, they're using like paper, like that liner is plasticky as shit.
Oh man,
I've never seen that. I mean, that's fucking that's insulation. I mean, call it cellulose. That's fucking ceiling insulation. There you go. Hot springs, portable spas. I would highly recommend not buying one. Well, there you go. They're portable,
yeah.
So they're light. That's why, because it's a weight factor. No, I've never seen that. And also, this is learning shit. I have never. Yeah, that's more than a shop vac job there, Jack. Also, I have also never been to a transfer station or a what do you call it? A transfer station or a landfill that I think she said preferred or required. They want the hot tubs cut up, preferred, whatever. Not whole. I've never heard that before because the trash master just runs it over. I guess if you're at a transfer station and they don't have a trash master, they got the front end loader with the tires. I get it.
A lot of transfer stations, like we had one that was just a big barn, man, and it was elevated, and it had an alleyway in the back, and they would just push and load the trucks. So I could see that.
Well, I get it. I think it's interesting. Every time I go in the Facebook groups and people are like, "Oh, how do you cut up a hot tub?" I'm like, "I don't." Like that's how I cut up a hot tub. So that's
we had to cut up boats if we wanted to dispose of the
landfill. Yeah. We've cut up right. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. No, we've had to cut up boats. Or we had to have them they could not exceed a certain length. I've also seen a trash master take like a 18-20 foot boat, like a kind of like a short bottom, like a bass boat, just fucking like a fiberglass one, and just fucking run it over, and it's nothing.
I've seen it get stuck in the spikes, and as it goes up into the wheel well, it's like
it recrushes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, people that are not in the industry, when you say trash master, they're like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, that's like a legit job title. That guy has it on his resume. If he had a LinkedIn, he or she, right? 2023, we can't assume. That person, it has it. You know what? Fuck it. I'm doing it right now. I'm going to LinkedIn. I'm typing in trash master. I want to see if somebody's like has a fucking LinkedIn who is a trash master and is like, yeah, I'm the trash master. Trash master. I'm looking it up under people. There's a LinkedIn. Oh my God. I'm so happy right now. How do I screen share? I got to screen share some shit. Check it out. Here's my LinkedIn in case you were wondering. I'm going to zoom in like a mofo. Oh, I don't have access to this profile. Damn it, he's outside my network.
Do you not
he
have
is
premium?
The trash master
Wow,
at
you're cheap.
Sanitation and Water for All, Schenectady, New York. That's it.
Do you not have premium? LinkedIn?
I have premium, but we have no. I have no connections whatsoever with this guy. Hold on,
That tells you you have a lot of work to do.
Oh, here, let's talk trash. His account representative at Republic Services, buddy of yours. We know how much you love
Republic.
Republic. There you go. All right, so I typed in
let's
trash
get
master. That didn't happen.
Get him on the podcast. We can ask those questions.
We can. Also, here, this is the other thing I wanted to pull up. My boy, Guy Vic. What's up, Guy? He's a top contributor, Area 51 guy. What is his? I've seen him. Now I see it. Now I gotta find him. Now I gotta view his main profile. Guy, you're being shouted out on the Facebook. He studied the school of Hard Knocks. That's what I remember when I looked it up the last week. I was like, let's go. Because I wanted to see the name of his junk rule company if he had one. Nah, he's just a study of Hard Knocks. That's all he does. However, he has a junk rule company because he posts all the time him banging jobs. So there he is with the fridge. There he is. It looks like an old U-Haul. I put money on it. There's a U-Haul. It's got the little green tag right there.
I don't know. It looks like a deal. Oh, is it? Yeah. I was going to say Penske. No, it's a U-Haul.
Yeah.
I see the mattress part.
Where did you see the mattress part? Where did you see?
Well, I mean, you see how it goes up and over the cab.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's a what do you call it? Now I can't think of the name of it. Mother's.
They sell it for the extra space.
Yeah, no, but it's like a mother's. Fuck, someone help me out here. Grandmother's attic
suite.
That's mother-in-law suite.
Hey, so we had someone just.
There's a name for that. Hold on.
Like we brought a couple of boats to the transfer station, and the trash master said put it by his pickup truck because he wanted to keep it.
There you go. Repurposing right away. Yeah, boats are one. Grandma's attic. There. Who said that? Did some say that? Or you just said that.
It just came in through the comments.
There you go. You're paid. You can see the. Yeah. See, I can't. For some reason, I can't see. Oh, that's why I was on the damn private chat. There it is. Grandma's attic. I knew there's a fucking name for it. I was fucking. I've never had a truck with the old grandma's attic. So there you go. That's why. Because I'm awesome. However,
it's not that awesome.
Not that awesome.
Oh, so it's Jack Tonneson who's commenting right now.
Yeah, I'm tracking. That's the cat that he was on one time.
The college hunks junk guy.
Yeah, nearby. Yes. So yes. Anyhow, all right. What else?
So anyways, the estimate. So I gave him my 2 cents, but the cool thing.
Yeah, we're back to carpet. We went a lot of places to get back to carpet.
So he brought up a good question. He's like, so this is glued down carpet. I've done carpet with tax strips.
First of all, that sounds terrible.
Different. Yeah. So he's like, so what do you think I should do? Do you think I should quote it with me trying to buff it out? And I said, no. I was like, you already don't have the confidence in doing that by asking if you should try it. But what you could do, call up a flooring company, say, hey, look, I got a project coming up. 21,000 square foot of carpet needs to be ripped up. We're going to rip it up, but it's all glued down. Do you have the ability to go in behind me and buff all that glue off? And if you do, what would you charge? Then you take that and build it into your price. They're a subcontractor for you. I was like, if you try doing it yourself, 2 things are going to happen. One, you're going to spend a lot of time learning something new, and it's going to suck because we've all been there. Or 2, you're going to blow the whole job out of the water because you're spending double the time scraping glue off the floor.
Yeah. No, we've done a couple carpet jobs here, commercial ones, and that's where we got our asses kicked. It was we said we would remove the carpet.
That carpet? What's that carpet called?
Well, I don't remember. But the problem is it's that resin or epoxy or whatever they use to glue it down, right? Like, because we said we would remove the carpet. They're like, well, the resin's part of it. I was like, the fuck it is. Like, and again, this was like years ago, and it was a big pissing match. But we had to rent one of those machines and sit behind it. I ended up subbing it out to Rachel and Rick. And I remember, like, we got our asses kicked on that fucking job. And by we, I mean
good job for you guys.
Hey, guys. Well, I ended up having to coordinate all this shit, rent all the equipment, and break even on it. I had to pay them every dollar I had bid and won the job for to get it off my plate. That job there is, I think, the reason I stopped doing commercial. Not even I think. I know that was one of the last jobs I ever did. That was the reason I stopped doing commercial demo. Was that there was one particular project in Brookfield that I got my ass kicked on. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. Because I have a background doing residential demo, and I'm totally confident. We did a project last week. It was 10 rooms of carpet, house on the east side of Milwaukee. And that one was like, it was 10 rooms of carpet.
Tiles.
It took us almost all day. It was like 6 hours basically billable for a 6-man team. Yeah, 6-man team, 6 hours. So we ended up getting it done. And again, the carpet's the simple part. The pad's not a problem. It's the tack strips are a pain in the ass, and even worse is the staples. So we had to pull all the staples from the pad because they were going to be refinishing the floors.
So the tack strips, the cool trick for the tack strip is they have a tile scraper.
Yeah,
it's metal. It has a little step on the back. You can
it pops. Yeah.
Dude, that's the perfect tool for tack strips. You just pop it, go to 1, 2, 3, whole thing comes up. Next one, 1, 2, 3, whole thing comes up.
It's for popping tiles up. What's it called?
It's for tile. It's a tile pry bar thing. It's super wide, so you get more surface area, right? And it doesn't pop the tack strip in half like a normal crowbar would do. That's the tack strip. I mean,
hold on.
It's like a freaking 3 foot tall, but it's like maybe 18 inches wide. It's a blade for tile.
Like this thing?
No, similar, yeah, except it's wider. It's like 12 to 18 inches wide. The blade is.
Let me figure this out. That's the old Floor and Decor. It's like 12 to 18 inches wide. I've never seen one of those.
They're good, man. Look, 3 Sons Junk Removal just commented. We are considering the possibility of securing some storage space that would allow us to stock up on some of the e-waste products that we haul off for clients versus making multiple trips to the transfer station to dump them. TVs cost $20 and up, depending on the screen size. I'd like to have the ability to ship off to a recycler. Any thoughts on how I could locate one in the New York area? We are located in Orange County, New York. I've tried searching high and low, but cannot see. That might be a raspberry question.
Shit. I'm gonna fucking Google that shit. Okay, so he is north of the city, not by a lot. Like it looks like it's like the first county outside of the 5 boroughs. Fuck it, I think it's touching it. Yeah. All right, so he's right. Yeah, he's in the thick of it. Although it looks really fairly mountainous or hilly, maybe not mountainous. I don't know if they have mountains in New York. I've never really been here. I've been I also have a place called Scotchtown in there. I've been to New York City and I've been to Albany, nothing in between. Half of the cities I know on the East Coast, like Utica, I just saw that, are from watching The Office. Like Scranton, Schenectady, Syracuse. Like the only reason I know, or not Syracuse, Utica. The only reason I know the name of those places because from The Office. That's how much I don't know the East Coast, and I'm not apologizing for it. That surprises me. So I'm going to answer the question if he's on. I'm wondering Universal. So Universal Recycling Technologies is a company that we had worked with in the past. We still do it from time to time.
Yeah,
URT. Yeah. They have a huge. Yeah. Hold on. There is Universal Waste Solutions. No, there's a place. I almost want to call this place right now, this recycling center. Be like, hey, y'all take e-waste. Y'all take that scrap. I'm all about it. Taylor's got the handles, right? This is what I'm saying.
Something similar.
They don't have a website.
You see that?
What is that? What do you got? Oh yeah. That's that didn't work. That's your hillbilly way of screen share.
Yeah.
All right.
Except the blade's like wider, but yeah.
I gotta find Universal Recycling Tech now.
Just look up URT locations. We're 1 hour north of NYC. Very mountainous.
Thanks for telling me how to Google, because that's all I'm doing. Yeah, the one we have here is Janesville. Locations. Let's see. Closest one to New York. Wisconsin, New Hampshire. How far away is New Hampshire? The very least, here's a place. New Hampshire does not sound close to New York. I mean, they both got new in their name. Where's this cat at? He's at Orange County.
Dylan, Mr. E-Waste guy down in
yeah, he would know. We haven't. We had him on the podcast very early, right? We never not on the live show.
Dude, he sold his company to a bigger company. Yeah.
That motherfucker.
Yeah.
Good on him. I did not know that. Shout out Dylan. Hold on, we should call him. All right. Apparently, New Hampshire's 4 hours away. So 3 Sons, it's very mountainous here. See, I wasn't wrong. It looked mountainous. I could tell that from the map. Mostly because none of the roads went straight. That's my telltale sign that it's mountainous. There, I appreciate the shout out, mountainous.
Did you find a place?
Yeah, URT in New Hampshire is 4 hours away. So I found a place. I didn't say it was a good choice. There's got to be something in the city. If the problem is that's not ideal. All right, I'm gonna tell you what, 3 Sons. I'm gonna keep looking out. I'm gonna reach out to my boy Dylan. I can probably just text him right now. We will find you something for Electron. Are you calling Dylan right now? All right.
Yeah.
This is what happens when our guests leave. I end up learning how to screen share. And is that Dylan?
Hi, this is Dylan with Adonis Recycling. Please
All right.
Message.
So anyways,
sounds like he's from Missouri.
He's Missouri as fuck. He's also Air Force, I think. All right, so here's URT. So I found a place. However, I know I can do better. Because I'm in Podunk, nowhere, Wisconsin, and we got a place 90 minutes from me. I got a place like 4 minutes from me. That's where I take stuff now too. It's all about the price. And our state's got pretty good recycling laws and dollars. So we've done all right in the e-waste world. We've really built up our business. We'll do about 200,000 pounds this year on the e-waste side of things. So we've definitely, I made a point last year to make that a priority in our business, and it's worked out.
So I texted him, 3 Sons, just to let y'all know, Dylan Pruitt is his name, Vice President of Adonis E-Waste Recyclers.
Not anymore. He's former Vice President, apparently.
No, that's his new role. He's Vice President of Adonis.
We got
acquired his company. Yeah, man, good for him.
Okay. So he's still got a job. He's still got a job.
Dude, that's how you do it, man. You grow it, and then you sell it, and you become an employee for it.
I got Rose Computer Recycling on the East Coast there. Rose Computers Recycling.
I don't know. Well,
I'm gonna send this. I'm gonna put this in the chat. I can't put this in the chat. I can't post to Facebook. I don't know how to do shit. Technology.
What else you got? What else you got going? Like, what else you want to touch on?
Me, I got. There's nothing pressing today.
You don't have anything big in the chamber coming up, or
oh, we
changing up soon?
Well, no.
You just get elected best company in all of northern United States or something.
Something like that. No, what I do appreciate that shout out. No, what I got was Camel Crew. Yeah, we threw it up. Actually, I threw it on Facebook this morning, I think. Camel Crew Junk Removal was recognized as the service disabled veteran-owned small business of the year in the state of Wisconsin. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah, no, little PR, couple attaboys. Good on our team for kicking some ass. We did a lot of community-based events this past year. Actually, e-waste a lot of e-waste events. We ended up doing 15 total e-waste events free for the community. We already got some booked for next year, so that's going to be a continued initiative. We're going to be doing some more stuff when it comes to e-waste that I will announce early next year once that gets going. So yeah, no, it's thanks for the prompt there.
I think it's great. I think business owners, they undervalue the importance of getting involved with the city and those kind of things. They may not seem like I guarantee someone else is in Milwaukee area and they're like, oh, I've been in business longer and I do more. Well, guess what? You didn't do what it took to be considered for this award. And with that, you get in front of the right people.
Correct.
Right? So
you got to put the work. Well, the thing is, for me, like, it was exciting, right? There's no doubt it was exciting earning it.
Yeah.
And I was nervous to an extent going in there, knowing that we were nominated. Someone outside of us nominated us, right? And then we had to fill out the forms, and it was dope. And we're like, all right, cool. And then we knew we were, one of only a few companies that made it to the final round, and then still get acknowledged among your peers as the business. Like, it feels really good. And then there's a couple of schools of thought. It's like, you're right. Like, are we deserving of this award? It's like, well, according to the judges, a couple of judges came up to me afterwards. They're like, yeah, like you don't show up only when there's awards. You don't show up only
Yeah.
when there's like we see you all year doing things in the community. It's not like the first time you're hearing about me is when I put in the application right after I was nominated. And you can also self-nominate. And I've never been a judge of an award, but I gotta imagine if you self-nominate and then win an award, it doesn't carry nearly as much as someone going out of their way to nominate you. And we were
No, but I
nominated.
think you
We were nominated by a
should.
couple different businesses. So it's like we already had a huge opportunity because several people nominated us. It's kind of like winning the Titan 100 award. I'm getting that in January. So top 100 CEOs in the state of Wisconsin. It's that again. I was nominated for that, and it's like I look back. It's like, okay, well, what did I do? Because last year I applied for it. I was nominated and applied and didn't get it. And so then this year I did, and it's like, okay, what did I do different? And it's like, yeah, if I look at my submission last year versus this year, significantly different. The business has grown. I was able to hire more people. We did a lot more community involvement. I got myself involved in a lot more. And so it's like,
bigger
okay, yeah,
jobs come with
we
that
put the
too, I
work in.
think.
Yeah, it's not even about
Look at that.
correct. There's the bigger jobs. What it is it's greater opportunities. You step up, and now all of a sudden, I'm not chasing down fridges and couches and basements every day necessarily. I'm sitting down and having big conversations with people with big projects. And
Well, plus you can, if you had an idea you wanted to, if you had an idea with recycling, for instance, this is a good one, and you're like, man, why don't more people recycle? Well, the fact is, more people don't recycle because it's too hard for them to know how.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the plain and simple answer.
Yeah.
But if you had an opportunity to sit with the people at the table that make these decisions and say, hey, look, I have this great idea for recycling, and the problem is that I just never had the voice until now.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I like, because I don't think there's an issue with nominating your own company as long as you have other people helping. Because
yeah.
for me, I
Yeah.
look at it like, dude, I'm going to do whatever I can to get that leg up. And hey, if this award is going to boost my chances of getting in front of the right people or getting more business, then please help me obtain this award. I mean,
Oh yeah, I
the
have
nonprofit was
oh yeah, I
nominated
have
for-
no shame. Yeah, I had no shame catching awards. Well, that's the thing too. It's like some people are like, oh, they might give you pushback, like chasing awards. It's like, well, hold on. I did the right thing, right? I mean, it goes back to my 3 steps of life, right? Do the fucking thing, tell the fucking world, show the fuck up. If
Yeah.
the world decides I didn't earn the award, that's fine. But I'm going to tell them what I did. Precious Williams, she's a international pitch. She is the pitch queen, and she was on Shark Tank, and I've seen her twice now in seminars. And she talks about showing everybody the receipts. No one in this world knows your story like you know your story. So there's no shame in putting out your receipts, right? And that to me is the same thing as telling the fucking world. Tell the world who you are. The thing is, the people that don't like you, the people that are going to come at you, your enemies, they're going to find you either way. So
They already know where you are.
They already know who you are. So you ought to
Yeah.
put yourself out there. And then the third step is key. Show the fuck up. Right? If I apply for an award and I don't get it, cool. I'm gonna still show up the next day to life and to work. And when I do win an award, I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna feel proud and honored and humbled to have earned that opportunity. And then I'm gonna show up to the next day because that's another feather in the cap. That's not right. That's not a finish line. It's a new start line. And so
Yes.
and also proof that if I can win 2 awards that are not industry specific in my state, one, the entire state of Wisconsin, recognition as a top 100 CEO, and 2, service disabled veteran-owned small business of the year in the state of Wisconsin, it shows that junk removal, it has earned the respect of other industries because junk removal is doubled in size in the last 10 years. And there's people that for the people that are the unprofessionals in this industry that want to be chucking a truck, that don't want to take it serious, that don't want to do their numbers, don't want to invest in their future, don't want to get out there and put out a great product, don't go out and get 5-star reviews. Well, don't complain when you're out of business and I'm still fucking kicking ass.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, so we were part of many chambers, but I remember going to some of these chamber award ceremonies, right? And at first, this is before I knew anything. At first, I hated going because I'm like, well, fuck, we're not going to win any of those awards. Like best new small business, like why aren't we nominated? I found out later it's because those business that were being nominated were also ambassadors to the chamber.
Yeah.
So
Play
I
the
found
game.
out, like, oh, They played the game. They went
Play
to
the
all the
game.
ribbon cutting. They volunteered their time. I get it now.
It-
But that's
100%.
that's the other thing is if you're not willing to play the game, then why are you where you're at? Like you have to look at that. Hey,
Oh,
how come I can't get past this $10,000 a month revenue stream? Like I've been in business for 2 years, and the most I made consistently was 10 grand. Like why? Well, look at what you've been doing and what you haven't been doing. At the same time, okay, here's a good example, Andy. And I know you've heard this a lot too. A lot of people have this pride issue with saying they're veteran-owned business, and they ask me, "Hey, what do you think about putting veteran-owned on your truck?" I'm like, "Do it." Well,
do it.
don't you think that, like, I forgot the word, but like, don't you think it's using veterans or
Sacrilegious.
whatever?
Oh, also
I'm like,
full transparency. I was against.
100%.
I was against it for 10 years, 12 years. My dad
Yeah,
told
you
me
were.
back in. I was so
But
against
dude,
it
why?
because
Like
I
now you
did.
know better.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, I wanted people to hire. I didn't want to use it as a crutch. I didn't want you to feel bad for me and hire me because I was a vet.
Mhm.
I wanted you to hire me because I was the best option available,
Yeah.
and I couldn't separate those two. You know what I mean? You can hire me for why I'm a vet, and you can refer me and recommend me and promote me because I'm also the best. Right? You could
Yeah.
be both.
So my argument to that, and now that I know you're on the same page, but
Yeah.
so
Oh,
here's
yeah,
my
I am
argument
now.
to that. If you drank Bud Light all your life, and then all this crap that happened this year with Bud Light came out, you gonna stop drinking Bud Light? No, probably gonna keep drinking Bud Light because regardless of the message their marketing team put forth, you still like the product.
Yeah.
Now, how I look at it, like with the veteran-owned business type branding, I want people to understand we're veteran-owned because I'm proud of that. I also want people to understand if you want to hire veteran-owned companies, it's easy for you to find me. And I don't know how many times, I mean, a lot, but I don't know how many exact times we were hired strictly because we're veteran-owned business. And they
Oh,
would tell me,
yeah.
hey, we look for, we had 4 different companies. You're the only one that was veteran-owned. We want to support our veterans. I was like, shit, I appreciate you. Now let me tell you how cool and great we are.
Well, and that's I can't remember who it is. There's a marketing book out there, and I didn't read it. Full transparency. But the one thing I think it was Story Brand, or maybe it was Story Brand. But anyways, his whole thing is be the only choice, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I am the only choice, right? And so how do I become the only choice? I got to tell my story that's unique to me, right? This is what I went through. This is the hero's journey, right? I started this back in 2009. I got out of a franchise system that was god awful and still continues to fail miserably. Shout out to the people that are still stuck in that franchise system. That are listeners. I feel for you. If you're in a bad franchise, get the fuck out. It's
Hey, the
right.
only ones that I know are doing great are the ones that I personally handed off to.
Yeah.
They're still doing really good.
The joke I told the guy I was talking to a guy on Saturday, talked for over an hour. He's getting out. He wanted to know the ins and outs and whatnot. Anyways, this thing I told him, I said, you know why it's expensive to get out of a franchise? He goes, why? I said the same reason it's expensive to get out of a divorce or get out of a marriage and go through a divorce because it's fucking worth it. Anyway, so shout out to those guys that are in the struggle every day because I went through that struggle. So when I tell that story about where I came from and where I'm going and the recycling facility that we built here, the amount of material, 200,000 pounds of electronics we're going to keep out and recycle this year. Not even keep out of landfill, recycle this year. Almost 400,000 pounds of steel this year. Like those numbers come from putting in the work, and nobody else can tell that story. Nobody else can talk about, fourth generation entrepreneur and all the things that are me. So it's like the deeper I dive into that, the more unique I'm going to be, the better chance that people are going to choose me as the only choice. And being a veteran is something that people can appreciate day one. They don't have to wait it's not, they don't have to search for, really, really deep. Like, oh, hey, we want a guy that's a fourth generation entrepreneur. Or it's like, no, they can assimilate to the veteran status. Also, this is what real quick thinking about businesses. This is what prompted me to remember G. I can't remember how the. No, I don't know who that is. Taylor said Purple Cow. Anyways, we'll look at that. Anyways, Inspire Junk Removal. Homeboy put this up on the VIP group the other night. This was fucking awesome. This was reminding me from back in the day when I was grinding. He went out and put out
I saw that too.
47 signs in 2.5 hours from 2 a.m. to 4:30. Shout out. Like that's like
grinding,
that.
Man.
That's the grind. right? Like if you're not willing to
Yeah.
do that, don't sit back and bitch that the phone ain't ringing.
So you mentioned the numbers of like e-waste and steel. So the number that pops into my head, I remember, and I told you about this before. I was so proud to be able to keep mattresses out of the landfill,
Mhm.
mainly because no one else around was doing it, and they couldn't. They didn't know.
Yeah,
But I
you don't
kept
know.
481 mattresses in 1 year. I kept 481 mattresses out of the landfill.
We are
And
shipping out. We are shipping on another 150 tomorrow morning.
yeah, and no one knew the significance of that until I broke it down. I said, this is how much square footage it takes up. This is how much it compacts. This is if you
Yeah.
put them all, if you put the average mattress, which is like a full to queen, right? If you put it in a line, it circles the globe twice. And they're like, whoa. I
Yeah.
was like, that's just from the US every year.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that I kept 481 out of the landfill in 1 year, that's really cool.
That's like a city
And
block.
yeah,
Maybe
but
two.
when it first began, I remember the only reason I found this is because we did a huge hotel mattress clean out,
Mhm.
and we're like, holy shit, there's a lot of mattresses. And I just went searching, and I found this one company in downtown Dallas. But at the time, they only accepted mattresses if you brought it to them. And I was like, well, this doesn't make sense. This is a 45-minute one-way trip, and I can't expect to get a box truck of mattresses every time. Where am I going
No.
to put them? So then I just talked to them, and I kept getting more mattresses. I said, how about this? I'll fill up a container. You come up and you get them from my yard,
Yep.
and then you pay me the check. And that's what they did. So that's the cool thing. You just got to keep working and working to better refine your process, because it started out, working a little bit too hard. I probably shouldn't have done all the work I was doing, but it was to get to a better spot to where I wouldn't have to put in all the work, because it was automating itself, I guess.
Yeah, when my brother and I first started Green Up Solutions, the whole goal there was to be environmental consultants. We're like, okay, we got to find solutions for people's problems so they don't put shit in the landfill. And then about 3 minutes later, we realized that's not a business.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the fuck that is, right? We can only Google, but it's like, well, what stuff do people need to get rid of? And it's like, well, I don't know. Well, we ought to ask them. Well, we're not going to just go survey, 10,000 people like, hey, what do you need to get rid of? The whole reason we started in junk removal is so I could get smart about where things go. It was that simple. I did what Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That is a book I have read.
Old
Right,
Mr. Kobe.
right. He talks about begin with the end state in mind, and so my end state was keep things out of the landfill. And so, how do I get there? Well, I need stuff. Well, how do I get stuff? I got to take out people's houses. How do I get people's stuff out of their houses? Well, I need them to pay me to do it, ideally, and then I'll come up with a solution, right? And it's because I had that desire to do it. When it comes to this hustle or any hustle people are in, you got to have a fucking plan. You said from the
Well,
beginning, Casey, like plan and deviate is better than no plan at all. And every week we harp about this shit because it's true.
well, and
I will figure it
here's
out is not a fucking plan.
and here's a great example, man. I started my junk removal business January 2016, and since then, and this is obviously a huge summed up version of it, but since then I went from being very lost in life, single, no future, living with my mom again, to married. I have a couple, like, the most badass boys you can ever think of. Like, both my sons are amazing, right? I've built a house. I've done huge projects. I've lost a lot of money. I've made a ton of money too. But all that happened because I took that one opportunity and I ran with it. And then after that first 6 months, I said, okay, I need a plan. And every time my plan would start to deviate, I'd be like, cool, I'm gonna make another plan. But I
Yeah,
still base off the original plan.
yep.
And that's the thing is, I would not be, and I've been asked before, like, hey, would you do it all over again? I'm like, 100%. Like, why? I'm like, because this is how I got to where I'm at now.
Yeah,
Same thing with the military. You wish you would have stayed in? No. Why? Because I wouldn't end up where I'm at now. And the thing with junk removal is it's always evolving. But dude, I've been watching Justin. He's done, and they just finished up their little soiree down in Florida.
Yeah,
He
shout
had
out.
a really good turnout.
Was that like
And
29? I think 29
yeah, man. And the cool
thermal
thing is,
leaders.
like, I personally wouldn't have done that if I was in junk removal still, mainly because I want to make sure it's strictly junk removal. I think mixing real estate with junk removal can really mess with your priorities when you're in
Mhm.
that second, third year business, because then you're like, oh shit, shiny object sounds really promising. Fuck junk removal. But that's Justin and I. We don't have to agree on everything. What I do like that he did was he brought probably some of the top junk removal guys from around the country said, hey, look, we're all going to
Yep.
meet here. We're going to talk about shit for a couple days. We're going to have fun doing it. And if you like it, come back next time. If you don't like it, whatever. And it was a great turnout. And I tell you this, we need more people like that, or we need more opportunities like that. Because if you really care about your junk removal business, those are the people you need to be around. The people that care that much too. Like you and I going to these conferences are great. But remember, we went to one conference and we both said, if we were in different positions, like if I was a junk removal owner, I
Yep.
wouldn't have come here. I wouldn't have got
Yep.
anything out of it.
100%.
So, yeah, man, make a plan. This is the perfect time to do it, guys. Look, you got a couple months left until spring happens, and we all know what spring brings. So why not use this time, make a plan?
Yeah, planning is the key. Actually, I'll give a shout out before I forget. Jobber, that's how I make my plans, because that's where all my data comes from. Actually, someone I was talking to the other day, they're struggling in their business, and I started asking about their data. It was all over the place, and I asked him, well, where is everything housed? And he didn't have a good answer. And I asked him about Jobber, and his thing was, well, it seems expensive. I'm like, well, look how expensive to not have the data you need. Because you want to bring
That's a great counter.
You want to bring somebody on like me that wants to look at your numbers, and we don't have the data. It's really expensive for me to tell you go get data, because there's not much else I can help you with. I'm guessing, and you're guessing.
It's
I love my
that's
data, and I'm still like, we had an anomaly last month in our data, and our marketing guy's like, this doesn't seem right, and I'm like, okay, let me take a look. And turns out we had 3 times as many existing customers come back in November versus the previous 3 months average. And I'm like, well, let's take a look. And I scrubbed the data. It all checked out. Just so happens we also started running some campaigns for existing clients. And because I've been running
we talked
operations
about
lately,
that.
I'm like, this actually checks out. Like we expected a bump up, but to go 3 times the average,
Dude.
it's like, oh shit. Right. So now, a perfect world, that trend continues, or maybe it was a one-time boost.
Why do you think
but
every big company has a rewards program?
100%. Yes, there's a reason why. And that's why when I looked at the data, it was like, oh, this actually makes sense. Also, for the listeners that have been paying attention to my journey, I have had online booking turned on now for 2 months now, month and a half. I turned it
Thoughts? You like it?
on.
Too soon to
Hasn't created any issues yet. I mean,
tell?
this
Okay.
time of year, because there's a deal. I'm running, 4 or 5 trucks a day. So if they book at a time that's not super convenient, I can put it on a different truck. And
Yeah.
I ended up, what the other thing was, I had my radius small. I increased my radius today because we had a customer who's like on the cusp, like hit us up on our Facebook and was like, hey, I would have booked except for I couldn't because you say you don't cover the service area. So I definitely had a scarcity mindset, like, oh shit, we're gonna get all these jobs like in the middle of nowhere. And now I had to shift into an abundance mindset, which is like, you know what, we're gonna get jobs. And that's it. If people want to book online, so that customer, it's not like she was like, oh, I couldn't book online, so I called you. I couldn't book online, so that was the end of the interaction.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, would I have been willing to drive down there at an inconvenient time to take care of that customer? Absolutely.
So I had the exact same thing happen to me. One of our
Yep.
storage facilities. I looked on our, we have tracking software too, and
Yeah.
I looked on. I was like, it shows I had 3 tenants book over the weekend, but I only talked to 2. Why is that? And
Yeah.
I try to track down this 3rd tenant, and I kept looking. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I ended up just calling them. They didn't answer, and I left them a voicemail, and they texted me. I just want a refund. I was like, well, shit. I really want to understand why, though. Like I'm not going to argue with you, but like what happened between this weekend to where you're not booking a unit with us? Come to find out, they called the number on our software, like on our website, which I thought was my number. They called a different number that was automated to get their specific PIN code,
Mm-hmm.
and it just told them to call someone else in their mind, which is me. But the process is when we have someone book, we immediately contact them with a specific PIN code because our gate motor is out and we have a different lock right now. So we have to physically tell someone what their PIN is to get into the facility.
Yeah.
Well, all it was that extra step in their journey, and I'm good. And that's what it was. I didn't know about it because they didn't feel like calling someone else. And then by the time I got in touch with them a day later, "Oh, I just want a refund." And look at $75 a month. Like for me, times that by 20 or 30, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, but it's that simplicity factor. So now I can look at that and say, okay, I found out what happened. I found out the problem, and how do I prevent it from happening again? And until we get that gate up and running, I'm going to have to reach out to every single tenant or every single customer that books. So I want to make sure I'm the first call, not the second.
Yeah, no, I again, this is where I being old curmudgeon man stuck in my laurels didn't serve me. And the thing is, there's plenty of things. I'll use this as, actually we're right at time anyhow. I'm gonna use this as my top takeaway from today.
Okay.
I gotta practice what I preach. I'm constantly pushing people outside of their comfort zone to things that I'm super comfortable with because I've already been pushed out of it. And yet I need to continue, in order to not get complacent, right? We know in the military, complacency kills. So in order to not get complacent, I have to continue to say yes to new shit. And if it doesn't work out, then it's yeah, I did it and it didn't work out. Not no, I'm unwilling to do it because I'm unwilling to do it. Oh, shit. I just knocked off my ring light because I stuck my foot out. Apparently, it's dark in here now because it's fucking goddamn daylight savings time. Breaking shit over here.
Is
I
that
stretch
why
my
it's
legs.
dark, or is it dark because it's later in the day?
Also, it's later in the day. Daylight savings. Actually, it's lighter it's darker earlier.
I will say this. I just noticed this, but this says live with Michelle Pinziak.
It does. It does say live with Michelle Pinziak because Taylor fucked it up. Fucking can't find good help.
Wouldn't let me change it.
Taylor said he wasn't able to change it.
Didn't let me change it.
Clearly not
Clearly
with
it's
Michelle.
an issue.
Clearly there's a Taylor issue. So there you go. There's my top takeaway from today. It is ABL, always be learning. There's the top takeaway. Casey, what is your
My
top
takeaway? Make a plan.
Make a plan.
Just right now. If you are done for the day with your operations, before you eat dinner, before you go inside the house, whatever, you're in your truck in the driveway, like some of us are at the end of the day, listening to the last minutes of the show.
Yep.
Just on a piece of paper, whip out a pen and notebook and just start writing up a plan. And then, hey, here's 4 steps. Tomorrow morning, add 4 more steps. But if you don't start the plan, you're never going to do it. And if you don't have a plan, you're not going to grow because you're not going to know where you're coming from or where you're going.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So there you go. Get out of your comfort zone, do the fucking thing, make a plan. And do it now. Start with something simple. Start with what are you going to do between now and, what are you going to do tomorrow that you might otherwise not do if you don't make a plan out of it? Like, start there.
I've lost 16 pounds, by the way.
16. Congrats. I don't know what to say there.
I made a plan.
I made a fucking plan. All right. He's making plans. I'm doing the fucking thing. This has been another amazing episode of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. I'm Eddie Weins. He's Casey Bubba Lawrence. We will see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Tap subscribe or follow to get the latest episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a review and tell a friend to listen. To learn more, visit trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com. Bye now.